Have you ever risked your job to stand up for someone else's safety? When little Hannah read her poem aloud for the first time with her voice trembling, but when she finished, the whole class clapped and cheered so loud you'd think we'd just won a championship. Of course, that was before the real world crept back in. The school where I taught English always felt like it was held together by hope and duct tape. The supply closet was a running joke, half empty, dusty, and raided by desperate teachers more than once. I got used to buying notebooks and pencils out of my pocket, but what stuck with me was how much the students carried with them, way beyond textbooks. Some came in hungry, some looked like they hadn't slept, and a lot of them seemed weighed down by things nobody talked about. Still, I stayed. Even when I felt burned out, I stayed, especially for the quiet kids, the ones everyone else seemed to write off. Marcy was one of those quiet ones, always slipping through the halls with her head down and lingering by the door. She never caused trouble and never drew attention. But one week, I started noticing how she jumped at little noises and how she flinched when the bell rang. I worried something was wrong, but I tried not to assume. Then I saw how often Coach Allen kept her after practice. He was the school's golden boy. He won games and fired up pep rallies, and his parents loved him. But I noticed him standing by the girls' locker room and his hand lingering too long on a student's shoulder. One afternoon, I caught him leaning in close to Marcy as she stood frozen. My stomach twisted, and I brought my concerns to the administration, but the principal didn't even bother looking up from her paperwork. She just told me, "I'm sure it's nothing. Focus on your classroom." I walked out, feeling like maybe I was making too much of it. For a week, things almost seemed back to normal. Coach Allen kept his distance, and one morning Marcy even smiled during a group activity. For a couple of days, I started to relax, thinking maybe the worst was over. But then Marcy's friend slipped a note into her locker, hands shaking so hard the paper crinkled. When I asked if everything was okay, she whispered, "He's not who everyone thinks he is," and ran off. That's when I knew I couldn't ignore it. When I asked Marcy, she looked like she was going to throw up. She told me Allen had used words and touches that made her feel dirty, but she begged me not to tell. I said I had to. When I reported everything, names and details, the admin warned me I was risking my career over feelings. The backlash came hard. The next week, I found my classroom sprayed with graffiti, and at the next PTA meeting, a parent led a petition to have me suspended, waving it in front of the school board while Allen's fan club shouted his name. Late one night, my fingers shook as I typed out the email to Marcy's parents, telling them everything. That email started something. Marcy wrote a statement, and other students spoke up. I was suspended, and Allen was put on leave. For a while, it felt like maybe nothing would change. But then the truth came out. Allen was arrested, administrators resigned, and the board quietly offered me my job back. Now, I run a support group called Circle, a place for kids to talk and be heard. The other day, as I was packing up, a new student lingered by the door, just like Marcy used to. Only this time, the room felt bright, and hope hung in the air.